And welcome to Business Focus. I am your host, the Eisen Agency President, Rodger Roeser. Great to have you with us here. Obviously, this is our small business show. You learn a little bit, and you know, it doesn't do any good to learn unless you put it into motion, right, Dana?
Right.
We are joined. We're going to get a little Skulan from Dana today on Dana Skulan from Sugar Bay Daylilies. Did I get that right? But you're a marketing executive, marketing expert, all that good kind of stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about marketing and what things the company should be doing. So, you know, I'm a small business owner. I can't afford people like you. You're too expensive, you marketing people. Or how do I know that if I pay you $2, you're going to give me $5 in return? You know, what should I be looking at and what should I be doing?
I think what was key for us when we started this little family-based business is to find out who your audience is.
Sure.
And Sugar Bay Daylilies is a hobby farm. We raise a particular perennial called a daylily, and there are collectors of daylilies, and there's lots of different registered daylilies. So it wasn't too hard to find our target, but that's people who own homes for the most part, who like gardening. A lot of information.
That makes sense.
Fairly easy.
Yep.
But you'd be surprised that there's a big difference between the entry-level gardener and the one that's willing to pay a premium for specially hybridized plants. They're going to be priced significantly higher than what you might find at a big box store. So that was key for us.
Nice.
We started out marketing originally on cable television because there was a little network called Home and Garden Television coming out. So you wouldn't think that that would be too hard. But when we started to grow and expand and we wanted to do more marketing, where were those other people?
Sure.
And I learned a very good lesson, and sometimes those lessons are expensive. You know that.
Well, that's why you hire marketing people, because they've already made all those mistakes, so they make sure that you don't make them.
But I think that you would agree also that there's so many new mediums and so many new ways to market that to some degree you just kind of go with your gut instinct and know that you're going to learn some things along the way, and it's a little bit of try before you buy because it's uncharted territory.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I think what we kind of preach here at our firm, especially, you know, even though we're located in greater Cincinnati, we serve clients literally all over the world to some extent. And Dana, it's not really managing the finite anymore, this station or this station or this station. It's really how are we managing the infinite. We have so many possibilities and so many ways of going about doing it. And small businesses, well, they don't have infinite budgets to manage the infinite possibilities. So, you know, your statements about taking a look at what you're doing, taking a look at who you're reaching out to. You know, you're not trying to hit everybody. You're trying to get the people that want to pay a little bit more for a daylily. Biggest error that most small businesses make when it comes to marketing?
Trying to be all things
to all people.
You know, as simple as that sounds. We realized as people started to arrive, we spent some time with the people that were doing business with us.
Sure.
And realized
creating those relationships right off the bat.
Exactly, and if you know them, they know more people like them. And for us, it was people who were over the age of 50, who had expendable incomes, who were investing a lot of money in their homes. So that was key. But the lesson I learned was when, and this sounds silly, but SpongeBob SquarePants became...
All marketing ideas come from SpongeBob.
Of course, SpongeBob SquarePants. And actually, you know, at the time, SpongeBob SquarePants had some of the highest rated programming, higher than really NFL football had on Monday nights. Shocking at that particular peak.
Right.
So I had access to SpongeBob SquarePants. I could put a commercial in that. Of course. And I did, and it was a very big audience.
Because you're not necessarily targeting, see, people on first blush, well, I'm not going after children. But who's tuning in the show, who's putting it on there, who's watching it with their kids, we're hitting grandparents and parents.
Well, you would have thought that was good, but what I hit was young mothers with their kids who brought their children, who ran through the fields and knocked all the flowers off, who complained about the price because they didn't have the expendable income because they were stressed with the expenses of growing a young family.
Sure.
It was a very big audience.
And the wrong audience. Great point.
Audience.
Great point. So, you know, this mass marketing, you might get a lot of people interested, but it might be all the wrong people. They know you for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
Good point.
Right. But we went on Weather Channel. We went on CNBC, Business Economic News. CNBC was a growing network during the daytime, and we had men coming out that also had an interest in gardening and also had more expendable income. So It was a good lesson early on.
Right.
I think that was one of the key lessons that I learned, that a really large audience is not necessarily
The
your
right
audience. Get to know who your customer is and get to know that particular audience, and then find out what their interests are.
Sure.
And our marketing has really kind of changed over time as new media and social media have come along.
It allows you to not necessarily have to spend or attempt to spend your way to market dominance, right? Because that's a tricky thing to do.
Right.
But you're hitting the right people, you're providing them a great service, you are engaging them in further opportunities with your brand and with your company and so forth. If you were starting another small business today, or you're speaking to small business owners out there, what advice would you give them if they're looking to market their business? And what are some of the biggest challenges I think you face just in running a small business, and what have you done to fix it?
One, we did some market research.
Right, great
which
point.
was really
Spend the money
helpful.
out some
Spend the
upfront.
money,
Yes,
and we did some research with our own customers. We were grateful enough, actually, through the Northern Kentucky Chamber, to get a connection with some students at Thomas More College who were in their MBA program, and they took us on as their project.
Awesome.
And one of the things it revealed to us, of course, was that there was a totally new market that was happening, which was really linked through social media and Facebook and Twitter, and really expanding our website. And they did some research for competitors of ours on online sales. We were a hobby farm, so we wanted you to come to our farm and spend time with us.
Sure.
But the expense to staff that window of time was costly for us, and daylilies go into peak bloom in a limited window of time. So we pretty much did all of our business in that 8-week window. Well, now we've changed our pricing to match the marketplace that is online, and now I'm able to ship plants out of state, marketing to social media, which is very different than marketing locally to people who might actually come visit our farm.
Sure.
So, getting that research was key. And then the other key point is, don't get too comfortable with the customers that you already have. Because at some point in time, my customers came back to see me, but their gardens were full.
That's true. You only have so much space,
right? So they have washing machines.
Good
Can
point.
you sell to somebody?
Fair enough.
So what we found is that we really still needed to extend ourselves into other markets. And this past year, we advertised on Star 93.3, which is a Christian contemporary radio station. Right. Excellent market, brought people out that really appreciated what we had done, but also expanded us into greater Cincinnati. People were not afraid to make the drive.
And great word of mouth with that group.
Great word of mouth, extremely loyal customers, delightful people that I think we'll probably have relationships with year after year. Opportunities to maybe do some special events out there.
Which allows you to continue to elongate your brand, to have positive brand touch points with some sponsorships that are tied into some advertising, which are tied back into the experience. And Christians love daylilies.
Christians love daylilies.
They do.
Like the end of our
That's right. What's not to love?
So that was really good for us.
That's great.
You always have to be looking for new customers. And
That's
I could do social media, but I needed to put my money out there and let it do some work for me, while I was simultaneously doing some things with social media.
Right, and I think that, in closing, you bring up a really good point. We get clients here sometimes, and surely you hear this as in your marketing work, is, oh, let's just do social media, it's free, or let's just do PR, it's free. Well, you need some mechanism to drive somebody to these things.
Yes.
Just because you have a website doesn't mean anybody knows it exists. So,
exactly.
There needs to be some kind of pull, and I think that that's a big mistake that small business owners have. Well, I put my website up and I'm on Facebook. How come I don't have 20,000 fans and such and so forth? Leave us with a final thought. If you have a hot final thought today, what do you see small businesses making a mistake on? Where would be a simple fix that they could have?
I think one of the things we do is that we get busy and we take our customer for granted. And particularly in lean times, I would say now is the best time to love on your existing customer.
Great point.
That is somebody you don't want to lose. And even if their spending is down for whatever reason, or they're not as loyal to you, things will turn economically, and they will return to the people that remembered them during those lean times.
I'll tell you what, nothing has helped our business more than I think sometimes a $5 gift card to Graders that says, hey, we're just thinking of you, go have some ice cream.
Right. Whether you're spending money with me or not, whether you're doing business with me or not, I care about that relationship. And I just remembered in a note, I had sent a card to somebody thanking them for coming out to see me, and that particular customer, you get to know your customers and they share personal things, had a parent that was going through Alzheimer's, and I had just lost my father to Alzheimer's, and I really felt that. And so about that time I said, you know what, that person's on my heart, and I just sent them a little note, and they came back to the farm that following year saying, you have no idea the day that note arrived, how it hit. That's not spending money. That's just caring about the people that you work with, and
legitimately.
And that was it was one of those things that just really reminded me. You never know the impact that you're going to have on another person. They're a person first. They're a customer second.
I'll tell you, as a small business owner myself, one of the best tactics, I guess, that we use in marketing in any way, shape, or form costs me 44 cents. Just a nice personal letter.
Yeah.
Dana, thank you so much for being on the show.
Such
Genuinely
a
appreciate it. Great colleague of mine with the Chamber. For everybody that makes Business Focus happen, especially Dana Skulan for being on the show. Find us online at theeisenagency.com. You can also Facebook or LinkedIn at the exact same place. So for everybody that makes the show possible, you have listened, you have learned, now go grow. This is Roger, over and out.